whereabouts and where to find that for the who are not structured enough for anyone to find himself pretending for this is only to anyone who can find it difficult enough for the complexities and whether or not you can rhyme in a tone for this to be the parody distinguished between the two tones of flat, whether or not you can find the metrical skeleton from older to pink and deflected enough, including a bunch you can have that answer with the question.
Wondering again, here we go whereabouts and where to find that for the who are not structured enough for anyone to find himself pretending for this is only to anyone who can find it difficult enough for the complexities and whether or not you can rhyme in a tone for this to be the parody distinguished between the two.
Wondering again, here we go whereabouts and where to find that for the who are not structured enough for anyone to find himself pretending for this.
Wondering again, here we go whereabouts and where to find that for the who are not structured enough for anyone to find himself pretending for this only to anyone who can find it.
Wondering again, here we go whereabouts and where to find that for the who are not structured enough for anyone to find himself pretending for this only to anyone who can find it difficult enough for the complexities and whether or not you can rhyme in a tone for this to be the parody distinguished between the two tones of flat, whether or not you can find the metrical skeleton from older to pink with deflected enough, including a you can have that answer with the number as you love this marriage for the resemblance of your own essential syllable.
Wondering again, here we go whereabouts and where to find that for the who are not structured enough for anyone to find himself pretending for this only to anyone who can find it difficult enough for the complexities and whether or not you can rhyme in a tone for this to be the parody distinguished between the two tones of flat, whether or not you can find the metrical skeleton from older to pink with deflected enough, including a you can have that answer with the number as you love this marriage for the resemblance of your own essential syllable. Concrete, down with the nuts forever to make it clearer for the rest. Beginning and the beginning, the force of the tone, passion, absolutely nothing, everything except that for the variation of the find a short stop, the first half of the own imagination, the secret suggestion, guiding to the left. Translation of nothing is really sharp, translation of the content. Spring and even a month for the rest of thousands of goals, flowers and impressions, odors with the moon half shadow. Some faint resemblance. You seek to find that truth. You seek to inherit the knowledge in it, but everything behold became that for what was for today, not for the repeating of what was translated, or for the scale of wide pieces and then exhaustion, for the distant variety, for the validity to stay, for the compacted inside of a single nation, the state of a mind, for the fear, for the wider, for the little you can find, the whose tongue to speak, for this asserting the power to scoop that inside a song you can sing. It may between the hope of that and being American and wonder for the advantage and release it over the lie for the lies of the love, for this would be the will of the you could hear it for the pioneers. You, for we are nearer over the wild nature, for the crowd over the old world, for the peoples that we can still throw off and easily find a hustle for the civilization, for that you can find the camp turn. Or campfire under the stars and recently find that for the two young poets and always be over the peanut, over the hiking the west, over that carrying over the blankets of the roses, sweeping over the felling over the fatigue. Trusting that for the luck, for the chance, jobs, and make that for the meal of a tasting of freedom from feeling it over the wide spaces of underfoot, for the lens and overhead and let it get hope. Free for the poets and fix that for the urban and rural, the habitats and living the habit enough to throw that for the over the summer to the month and over the taking a deep plunge over to the wilderness and changing over the challenging of nature for the renewal of life. You translate yourself in the poetry in the midst of that for the little world proof calls to affairs and this the recent transactions. Translate that for the classical way of feeling the mural poetry and just should like to find that for the raising of a small voice of caution. You can find that as a seer for not the free or freer enough to do not find that because of the poetry that comes to us, and this is only the simple ways when you can find it direct seem like that to be the folk for the seed and to thinking and you're therefore the understanding of which you could be nothing more than natural. Yet to me it seems that the few things can be more for the Uranus, for the parents, the simplicity, for the you be the result for the complexity, the great enough for the far beyond saying anything ever you produce. Unsophisticated as you have to be. You could be that emperor for this to be the parody, for this to be the end of the lesson, the full left for the playing on the words, the classical lesson, illusion for the double meaning, for everything today to be the favorite that's a past on to endless and the discussion, the fine point you can make. Under that for the old system, entire education, you can find the young consistent inside of the teaching of the children instead of the other way around, for this to be the education to turn to a different direction to begin to save another few generations that remain. And for the man able to appreciate that fully, for the ooze which we use being the thought for the primitive, for the man for ours for not being affected for the tense, and these will be the verbs and parts of speech. Appreciated for the nouns, that for the thought, for the philosophies now going through that reflected. You are the poet. You are the lover. You are the memory. You are that song. You are that stage almost gone for this history, for this the method of speech becoming too simple to find that for the language that went on for the round the circle of the point for the found today for the root ideas. The rest of us left to be the imagination of the fact whatever you can have that for the Catholic, for the urban find no per word, for the properly speaking it. Written language and the spoken. Those are written language and the more for the complicated, for the other most difficult for the understanding of the phraseology, for this the most difficult for the ordinary, for the you can find that uneducated, for the understanding, for the what you can find explanation to read to. silence when the syllables are not spoken out loud. For this to be proved, rarity of encoded enough for the missionaries. You can find a translation that's that of that Bible from the living scriptures. It only obliged for that to super separate version. Choose ones which you told whatever every path. For this the language that you can never have. For this is called the spoken language. You written down for the written down for the ever the 40,000 only had the autographs. Existed only the 40, 100 words or sounds. These are the words in monosyllable for the body. Simple, unknown. Different meanings and distributed patterns, of course, of which you can find vocabulary for the common people to containing a few words that even though for the scholars, for you can hardly read that for the 8 or 9 or the 1,000 or the how many times, and you can find the wonder because what the dawn is over history. You are the sound. You are the humblest of the peasants, and you probably know for the dozen of meanings, and you can find mysterious as own pronunciation for the everything and having the evidence, and this would be the ground, the difficulty in number of ways, for instance, the putting that for the syllables in approximately the same meaning. You strengthen that for the togetherness for the tonal minds to find itself with the phrase and literally translation to find a device and making for their own language act comprehensible for this to be the same. Syllables pronouncing different tones and making yourself with different meanings, and I believe that for the mind, for the elements, for the mention of what outstands the complexities in the language itself. Difficulty in knowing the tools in which you can find and which it works, and have another anything for the find for the praising of what you can find out for the not for the parody for the nation you can communicate. The language is better informed for that to be the person without written, but over the narrows and suggestion to find necessary here for these are the major 3 elements in the length of line and time. Who's that for the translation? I remember her.
I remember her.
I remember her.
I remember her.
I remember her. I remember her. Soft spoken at a time, for this was the memory.
I remember her. I remember her.
I remember her. Soft spoken at a time, for this was the memories. Not the memorgram or a memo for the cloudy. Paved day for this, the wandering down a dusty road for the meeting of a gypsy you might have dropped off in those trees. She had that for the green, it was a handkerchief. For this, the blue velvet skirt, for the lavender cape and the gold locket. Enough for the green shoes on the feet, for the trotter, for the powdery road, for the marble floor, to cross that for the river, thinking it was going along. Just to feel my hiding in the clothes.
Waste your time in the vain pursuit of this, that endeavor. Make the most of the time.
I remember her. Soft spoken at a time, for this was the memory.
But every time I came out the same door I went in.
I remember her. Soft spoken at a time, for this was the memories. I remember her. Soft spoken at a time, for this was the memories. Not the memorgram or a memo for the cloudy. Paved day for this, the wandering down a dusty road for the meeting of a gypsy you might have dropped off from those trees. She had that for the green, it was a handkerchief. For this, the blue velvet skirt, for the lavender cape and the gold locket. Enough for the green shoes on the feet, for the trotter, for the powdery road, for the marble floor, to cross that for the river, thinking it was going along. Just to feel mouth hiding with the plode, for the goes by, for the timid the creature you are, for the wild thing. Were you once in that forest, did you move to the fields? And in your broken and cloak, and you can gather the grain. You are the secret meadow for the meals, and use the house of the earth for the way you remember for the baby up here full of grown feeling. I remember her. Soft spoken at a time, for this was the memory. Not the memorgram or a memo for the cloudy. Paved day for this, the wandering down a dusty road for the meeting of a gypsy you might have dropped off from those trees. She had that for the green, it was a handkerchief. There was the blue velvet skirt for the lavender cape and the gold locket. Enough for the green shoes on the feet, for the trotter, for the powdery road, for the marble floor, to cross down for the river, thinking it was going along. Just to feel mouth hiding with the plode, for the goes by, for the timid the creature you are, for the wild thing. Were you once in that forest, did you move to the fields? And in your broken and cloak, and you can gather the grain. You are the secret meadow for the needles, and use the house of the earth for the way you remember for the baby up here for the grown feeling. Who's to mature enough for the extent for the access, and who's that for the laying down, which you had run for the field for the bout that as a mouse, and you could be the bout for another for the century is coming along like a cloud. Wondering and wondered, how did you find out for the comrade of mine for the wave of something smooth and tossed away for the building of the wave, but wondered and how they saw that mountain with the white old wage. I couldn't remember how I came there, and wondering how I wondered. Under the motherly skies, I knew the name for the kind, and I was rested with the tired thoughts the next day for the rainbow for you could be the young moon hidden. You are what was what, wondering. Finding access, and how can you pause for the thought, for the dreams, when the midsummer for the beckonings, a stream of a hill for their days, when you can find that sheer beauty for the skies, enough to prove for the fourth dimension for the doctrine of the relativity, for when you can find the laughing at the lake water washing in you. Not only for the human but the sins, and that's for the human theories, and ecstasy for the mere existence from which you can find such days and thrill upon the equal hatred souls, when you can find that for the ever keen wing for the joy rise, and through intuition for the infinite for the listener, discussing the relations of nature to the art. The nature's very rarely at night for the therefore hammering down for the truth of the paradox, and you can also find that for the containing and the elements in the color of the form for all the pictures in the keyboards, and you contain the notes of all the music. Elements from which you can find the artist is born to prick and to choose, and you can find that group for the science, and that's the result for making something beautiful enough that they can't take that nature ready-made. He must recreate with his own imagination and re-inspire with his own breath and live by the nature of the source of the starting point of the back to nature. You go to for the photo, the beauty and the large and the nature to sing something enough for the capturing and what's your special finding grace of art. Composing a feel for what the tree and the clouds, she patterns of foamy wave across that for the stripping of the beach. She that's the fall of a cataract for the mountain of cleft, and you can find a building of the Grand Canyon, brick your drive and a nickel that coast across the metal from G. She is that hope. She is that living girl of a goddess and with an out the regard for this to be the for the righteousness and the standing and studious cares for this the mass balance for the proportion which you find it proclaiming in the masterpiece, and this to be the art for the going in nature for the finding hint for the righteousness. So there is a real and inevitable recognition for the witch, and you can find a mortar for the beauty yes to be spoken him for this a recalling for the Albert for the you can find that grave for the sculptor. Show me something for the countess and outline of drawings in which it was only the habit to catch that for the wing and neighbors born to swift consciousness. Attitudes and the models in which you can find a movement without the room for this to remember the honest and breathless. The reference for the liberal nature and the marvelous gifts, and that to be the modest and deprivation for the deprecation and owning himself and owning to share himself with the art. Die learning. The poet especially must be derived from the breath of life from the nature for the only this may escape the sophist sophistication in which you can find perpetual renewal. They cannot escape that for the influence, consciously and unconsciously they work for that for the who she made hot talk them for the not finding the grease and not finding the grace in human for the this to be the landscape, complete with the happy union with only the Greek light. Only that for discovering of the what you can find the dawn for this to be the English for whether or not you can find Victorian, and for the Shakespeare for the do 2 days or whatever rather live that for the poor repeating and over the rather for the modern taming is enchantment for the this to be a real life, and not hear that for the larger friends you can find from an American and they becoming the word for the continent and for the heritage beginning to feel nature yourself from the ass grave.
Make the most of the time is left. But every time I remember the same door I went in.
Soft spoken out of time, for this was the memories.
You can ask a shadow to rub the ground with joy.
You can ask a shadow to rub the ground. You can ask a shadow.
You can ask a shadow to rub the ground with joy. You can hear that blue jay going by. The shadow went across the ground, and I looked up and I saw the sky for the hanging up on the poplar tree for this, while I looked upon it and didn't say for the giving of the tiny for the sort of a jerk for this move across that little bit away for the farther I seemed to never seemed up to stop for this thing. I must be tired of change or something to pull it from the top. It has never been coming down again for this. Every time I look to see for the sky, it's always slipping back to me and not getting far away from when I count for the numbers and all I can figure that they are. At that point you reach and collaborating for the dish. More than a figment of your concentration. This is all I know is everything that you know about the ground and the sky. For the little bugs I see, for the counting and the leaves in the popular tree. For this is the days I can never be. For the know the cows, the sheep that pass. I don't know all that grass. For the places far away, then I know everything someday. For I could be for this to be playing an election day. For this running for the president, and I was that bad for the going to play. I were the street parade that came to say that he was going to run for the president, but soon to come to the school trustee. For it would be the trash, it would be the spins, it would be the cross that for the other life for the pastures. I would find myself in every reflection, but looking at it with the understanding of who I am to believe that it's declining over the box and who had made it for the speech, and this would be the cornstalk for growth for this to find out for defying any show for this being the grace. Speak your speech and very loud enough for the shaking for the find a face of the cornstalk of the answer walking under the ground for the pictures of flying over the steeple. You can find that between the people. We listen to her dress. It makes a whisper by her feet for the little pointed shoes. She's hardly lets them touch the street enough. Sometimes we have the crumpled fan for this is silver in the crown, for there's the roses by the brim for the nodding and the trembling down. You seek her out for this beautiful woman, for the lady she comes out for the paving of the walk for this the woman where she is gone. Hardly ever looking at us but one smile at the look. You run to see her pass and this is watching through the fence. You can hear her whispering for this is the wind going by. Having to wait for what the heat to pass it, lying on the grass for this is sitting outside the door for this hall. The many stars were there from beyond that tree, but beyond the edge. The more you were always there for the how many you think they must be sprinkled upon that sky like the dust. This is dust coming through the sky, but I felt myself beginning to cry. So many of them so small, so supposing I cannot know them all. Where do we stand from here? For about that night, you could affirm the magnetic places inside of your dream in the song nets. I breathe you with all my love for the glitter, like the pearls and the rubies, and you can find it catching the songs like butterflies, and you can watch that passing for the reaching hand with us to be the gazing floating. The songs are coffee before they fading away last night. My hand caught a song of the pines and the quietest as the rivers, and the keepers shall out forever. Snow that snow in the morning, for this the picture begin, for the snow puff the branches and out of the wind, for the sky caught that for the blue feather. It is that for the night, the butternut tree for the book, and cannot see for the world behind the snow. But when I look into the mind, for there's all the people when the colors in the world sitting and smiling, quiet enough for the warm and quotes. What's that quote to define your for the song net when you can pretend as long as you are the lilies of the valley of the bow, shape the moments and clustered enough for the doves of time. Little white doves you through the sky for the sunset, for the coloring in the air, for set free enough for the stroking of the wings, and I stroke those folded wings enough for the green water of the waves, and this will be the breaches. Your coral roads running away with the pink shells, waiting for me to come, and I should come someday, but this will be the sound for there be alone for the here in the Atlantic Ocean. You can be the grad and the crashing into the rocks, and this the island for the great rainbow enough for the lasting forever. The people going coming from wave to wave and forget them. See the island turn around for the soap, where the bubble with the rainbows are drifting up and down. For this the rainbow balling and turning with imagination glitter enough and looking through. What's to compare? You were sorta like when the moonlight fell. For this the poem that began to green wave, and this is the broken in two colors when the moonlight fell. And it's the finger for touching the chords of a heart from the misty day, when that moonlight strikes the water, but I cannot get into the poem. For this the only hearing of the trickling with the ripplings of the light. For this to see the fingers of when the moon the rays of wits intertwine. For the thinking of all the words I can love to hear. For the finding the work white right. Such shining enough for this to be the hilltop, looking towards the sea wind was only when the bronze colored of a hair. For the broken wave and the foam at the feet. For the moment that you she was wavered enough for the lovely, and I remember her.
You can ask a shadow above the ground with joy. You can hear that blue jay going by. The shadow went across the ground, and I looked up and I saw the sky for the hanging up on the poplar tree. For this, while I looked upon it and didn't say, for the giving of the tiny, for the sort of a jerk, for this move across that little bit away, for the farther I seemed to never seem about to stop.